Okay. Alright, now here I'm going to show you a demonstration on how to take off your X clamps and also how to repair 3 red rings of death and E74 errors. So, I have the Xbox right here, and if you flip it over your Xbox, you notice that there are 8 black screws. You want to take your T8 or T9 torque and take out those black screws. Those are what's keeping the X clamps held to the board still. Well, part of it, as well as keeping it to this case. Alright, once you get those black screws out, flip over your system, and you're going to want to pull up, push out, and get it to like this. Now, take off the X clamps. There are 2 tools I recommend. This is a 4-inch adjustable wrench, very hard to find, but it'll save you pain by using nose pliers. But you do also need nose pliers to get these X clamps off. As you can see, one of them is actually kind of popping off, but here's how to do it, and here's how to do it right. This is the trick I learned. So, your nose pliers have the nice tips, and you notice down here, on each of these edges, they curl in. They curl around. You want to get your nose pliers in all the way up to the edge. There's an edge over here, there's a cut over here, and there's an edge. You want to get your nose pliers inside there, and you want to pull up. It should come right up. That side, and then this should come out, and then just pull out that one. This one should be more of a challenge. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4. Take off your X clamps. And then, of course, your heat sink should come right off. Now, to get these bolts off, you can either take your nose pliers and try to go like this and try to get them off, but you're most likely going to strip around them. So that's where you use the 4-inch adjustable wrench. Come down on them and just unscrew each one of them. Might be a little bit difficult. These aren't that tight, so they're easy for me to take off. And I'll do it for the other one too. Now you have both heat sinks cleared of all this. That's how you take off your X clamps. If you have a 3 red ring of death or an E74 error or any other errors that would be GPU, CPU, RAM failure, anything like that, one of the first things you want to do is you want to try a thermal paste replacement alongside of the X clamp modification. The thermal paste replacement, the best way to get these things off, the thermal paste off, is to use a razor. This isn't an X-Acto razor, it's a flat head. You could also use box cutter razors and everything like that, but it's got that nice flat edge where you can just go along it and scrape off all the thermal paste. So you just scrape off all the thermal paste. I'm going to do the same for up here on your heat sinks. Hand me that. Okay, no. Good. Make sure to wipe off the thermal paste when you're done, off of your X-Acto, whatever you're using. And don't eat it, it's bad. A lot of times you're going to have a lot of crusted thermal paste all around these edges. At that point, take a toothpick and go along, get it out, and start cleaning it up from there. And then once you're done, swab everything down with a Q-tip and rubbing alcohol, and make sure all the contacts are clean. Now this I don't have to do it for, because of course this system is my demo system. It doesn't work. It has a permanent E74 error. It has a failure. One of the parts burnt on it, so it does not actually work. But now, next thing I want to be doing is I want to put some thermal paste on here. Now, I always put the thermal paste on before I heat up. Most people say don't do that, blah blah, but I do it and it works for me. This is Ultra Thermal Gel. This is, you actually put it on with a paintbrush, kind of neat. It looks like nail paint, but you just take it and you spread it along here. This stuff is really nice because then you don't actually put your fingers on the thermal paste and you get a nice layer. Now, the thing with thermal paste that a lot of people do is they glob it on. That is very, very bad. You do not want a lot of thermal paste, but at the same time you don't want a little bit. You want to make sure that all of your surface area is covered with thermal paste. It doesn't have to be a lot. A little dab will do ya. It works for glue and for thermal paste. So you don't want to be seeing the bottom, but you don't want to have clumps of it on there. So about even, it should look like this. So now that you have your thermal paste on there, if you have an E74 error, it's going to get a little difficult from here, but if you have a 3 red ring of death, everything is workable and everything's usable. So the biggest tool you're going to need now is a heat gun. About 800 degrees will do you good. Do not use blow dryers. Do not use any of that. If you have a professional CPU chip, a heater, like one of those things you put on and it heats the entire board up on the bottom, those are good too. But the best thing you want to use is a heat gun. This has low and high for me. I'm going to be using it on high. But what you want to do is you want to plug it in. And here we go. That was just for sound effects. I'm not actually going to run this because I'll burn the table. Alright, so what you want to first start off by doing is you want to have the board flipped over, and you don't want it to be lying like this. You want it to be, take this part out here, and if you're on a table, stick it on the edge. So that way it's flat, it's even. It's as even as it's going to get. Now, you want to take it, this is your RAM. As you go over this board, this is the way that I do it, and I find it most effective. A lot of people do it different ways or whatever, but go over the whole board. You're going to want to hit the RAM a lot on this side, and on the other side we're going to hit some other key places. But you want to start, you want to go very slowly. Not too quick, because then you won't get even heating. Now I just went over the RAM. I'm going to come back to it actually fairly quickly here, because the key is keep the board hot and keep everything going. So once I've cleared the RAM, I'm going to go back and I'm going to go over it in a box 15 times. And I'm going to continue on where I left off. Again, slowly and steady. Now I've already gone over the ram 15 times over here then. And I pick right back up where I was. I know this is the boring part.
That's what she said.
Make sure that you do not stop in between. Having any interruptions while you're doing this, it'll cause the board to cool down and you won't get that even heat distribution that you're looking for. So once you get down here, now once you got on the back side, you're going to flip it over. Be careful, don't burn yourself. We're going to start again. Here and here are RAM. This, if you have an E74 error, you're going to be wanting to get on this a lot. This is your graphics processor. And your CPU and your GPU are right over here. We'll get to those first. So first we're going to be going over the board. Have it not as close as you did. Have the heat gun a little bit farther away because you don't want to be interrupting and burning anything down here. So, start. You can go a little bit quicker on this front panel, just that way you don't burn anything accidentally. Now this fix works for 3 red rings, E74s, even overheating issues, which is 2 red rings. Notice I did not go back and take care of the CPUs and GPU because that's the last thing you want to do. Right now I'm coming towards the end of the RAM. So I'm going to be getting the RAM first. 15 times again. Now the RAM is good for both E74s and 3 red rings. You don't have to do it for red rings. You can if you want to. It's just a nice way to reset your RAM, you know, kind of get it all reflowed again. Just went over that RAM. Just make sure you get that even flow, even pace going. Don't ever stop in between any of these, just keep going. Don't ever be afraid to do a second reflow if it fails the first time. Now, if you have an E74 error, you want to come over here, you want to get this 25 times. Now, the CPU and the GPU, you're going to want to do 40 times each in a box. Slower than what I was doing before. And then 40 on this one. Steve, you better get over here. now that that's all done, put your heat gun down, put it facing up someplace, that way it can cool off. Now, you want to let your board cool off, and then you'll come back to it and we'll do the next part.